Hello guys, my name is Haste and today we're taking a look at the Elementalist profession in Guild Wars 2.
And stay down.
The Elementalist is not your standard mage type class. Instead of focusing on one element, they can control all of them, giving the Elementalist a huge amount of versatility. They are, much like the Necromancer and Mesmer, a scholar profession and as such wear light armor and much like the Engineer are incapable of switching weapon sets during combat. The weapons they can use are staves, scepters, daggers and a focus, and although that doesn't sound like a lot, they can attune to one of 4 elements at any given time, completely switching their whole skill set and giving them a whole different array of utilities. With the Fire attunement, the Elementalist becomes a true AoE powerhouse, scorching his or her enemies, setting the very ground underneath them on fire, or calling down molten rocks from the skies. With a staff in hand, the Elementalist is a ranged force to be reckoned with, calling down meteor strikes and throwing the good old fireballs at his enemies. Looking for something more close up and personal, switch to the dagger and in a blaze of fire charge at their enemies and surround them in a ring of fire. Whatever the case, with the Fire attunement you're sure to do a lot of damage to a large amount of enemies. With the Air attunement you instead focus more on single target damage, or means to blind or stun your enemies to make sure they cannot hit you and more importantly cannot escape you. As fast as lightning itself, you can charge across the map with the dagger skill called Ride the Lightning, or switch to a staff and create a static field that stuns every foe that dare cross it. With the Air attunement you get a lot of swiftness and blind capabilities while still being capable of dealing tons of damage. If instead you're feeling a bit more defensive or generous, you can switch to the Water attunement and conjure entire tsunamis to drown your enemies, freeze their feet to the ground or instead mend the wounds of your allies with purifying rainstorms. The Water attunement forgoes the raw damage of air and fire in favor of controlling your enemies or supporting your allies. By using this attunement you're easily one of the best support professions in the game as you stack vulnerabilities and chill effects on your enemies while making sure your allies never die. Last but certainly not least, we have the Earth attunement. An Elementalist can use the Earth to shield him or herself in dangerous situations and gives much needed survivability to the lightly armored Elementalist in the form of magnetic auras, shockwaves or even turning flesh to stone. But the Earth attunement isn't just for defensive purposes. After all, throwing giant boulders at your enemies does tend to hurt them quite a bit, and if you prefer using a scepter, you'll get used to ripping their skin to shreds with shards of stone, stacking bleed effect after bleed effect on them. The Elementalist truly shines when you start combining and switching between these attunements mid-combat, but that is not all the Elementalist has to rely on. In addition to the 4 elements, they have a variety of arcane spells, sigils, teleportation capabilities and can even turn themselves into a living tornado. Lastly, they are capable of conjuring weapons directly onto the battlefield, which each have their own set of abilities that you can use or give to your allies. From shields to freaking lightning hammers to a great fiery sword, all of these add to the versatility of the Elementalist. So whether you really enjoy setting your enemies on fire, mending the wounds of your allies with purifying rain, or just want to summon lightning hammers and wield the power of Thor himself, versatility, variety and utility are definitely 3 words the Elementalist knows best.